The rain had not stopped for 3 days, and every drop that slipped through the holes in Emily Carter's roof hit the wooden floor like a reminder of everything she had lost. She stood in the center of her small, weather-beaten home at the edge of Willow Creek, hugging her arms tight against her chest as the storm rattled the windows. The house had once been full of warmth and laughter before her husband, Daniel, passed away 2 years earlier. Since then, life had become a series of repairs she never had the strength to finish. She had lived those 2 years quietly, avoiding neighbors, avoiding questions, avoiding any new connection that might hurt again if it disappeared. She taught literature at the local school, came home, closed the door, and lived in silence. The town understood her grief and left her alone, but this roof refused to let her stay hidden. When the leak grew so wide that a cooking pot could no longer catch the dripping water, she finally surrendered. She walked to the kitchen, exhaled, and dialed the number scribbled on the back of a hardware store receipt. Caleb's repairs, no job too small. She expected an old man with worn boots and a cigarette in his mouth. She did not expect Caleb Jennings, a broad-shouldered, soft-spoken 32-year-old carpenter with sea-gray eyes and an old pickup truck that squeaked every time it turned. He arrived while the storm was still whispering over the hills, stepping out of his truck with a toolbox in one hand and a gentle smile that felt strangely warm for someone she just met. "Roof problem?" he asked, brushing rain from his hair. Emily nodded, uncomfortable with how long their eyes met. "It's leaking badly. No worries," he said. "Let me take a look." He climbed the ladder in seconds, moving with an ease that came from years of working with his hands. Emily stood below, arms folded, listening to the sounds above her. Hammer taps, soft murmurs to himself, careful steps. After 10 minutes he climbed down. "Well," he said, placing his hands on his hips, "I can patch it for today, but it needs more than a temporary fix. The wood's rotting. If we don't rebuild part of the structure, the whole roof could give in." Her stomach sank. I can't afford a full rebuild." Caleb studied her face a long moment before speaking softly. "Let me do it in parts, as long as it takes. Pay when you can." She blinked. "Why would you do that?" He shrugged. "Because everyone deserves a safe home, and because you look like you've carried more than just a broken roof for a long time." His words struck deeper than she expected. She opened her mouth to speak, but found no words. From that day on, Caleb returned every evening after finishing his regular jobs. He would work quietly as the sun dipped behind the pines, filling the air with the rhythm of hammer and nails. Emily, who had not invited anyone into her personal space for 2 years, found herself waiting by the window for his truck to arrive. He never asked questions, never pried, never pushed, but he always looked at her with a softness that made her chest ache. One afternoon, Emily brought him a glass of lemonade. His fingers brushed hers as he took it, and heat rushed up her arm like lightning. "Thank you," he said. "You've done so much." She replied, her voice trembling. "I don't know how to repay you. For a start, maybe don't hide inside the house so much." He teased gently. She froze, unsure whether to laugh or cry. He noticed. His smile faded. "Sorry, that was out of line." "No," she whispered. "You're right." He leaned against his toolbox. "I've seen people hide from life. Lost friends, lost family. When we shut the world out, the roof collapses on us faster." Emily stared at the ground. "My husband died. Everything collapsed after that." "I know," he said quietly. She looked up sharply. "How?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "Small town, people talk, but I didn't want to mention it until you did." She nodded, throat tight. "I'm not trying to replace anything or anyone." Caleb continued gently. "Just trying to help you rebuild." For the first time in a long while, Emily let someone's words land without running away. As the weeks passed, the repairs grew into something more than work. Caleb replaced beams, sanded panels, and lifted heavy boards as if they weighed nothing. Emily found herself bringing him sandwiches, iced tea, warm towels when the evening chill set in. Their conversations drifted from home repairs to old books, favorite songs, childhood memories. Caleb laughed easily. Emily didn't, at least not at first. But one evening, as he slipped and almost dropped a plank, she laughed so suddenly that both stared at each other in shock. "That's the first time I've heard you laugh," he said, eyes bright. She blushed. "It's been a while." "It suits you," he replied. Her heart skipped. One windy afternoon, Emily climbed the ladder to bring him a thermos of hot coffee. She had never climbed a ladder in her life, and when she reached the top, she wobbled dangerously. Caleb grabbed her waist instantly, careful. Their faces were inches apart. She felt his breath. He felt her trembling fingers gripping the ladder. "Emily," he whispered. She backed away, heart pounding. I should go." He let her go, but the look in his eyes burned into her long after she left the roof. The next day he didn't come, nor the next. Emily paced the living room, her thoughts in a storm. Had she scared him off? Had she misunderstood? Was he avoiding her? She pressed a hand to her chest, shocked at how empty the silence felt without him. On the third day, unable to take it anymore, she grabbed her coat and walked to the small workshop on Oak Street with his name painted above the door. He was inside, sanding a wooden frame. He turned when he heard her. "Emily?" Her voice cracked. "Why didn't you come?" He put down the sandpaper slowly. "Because I didn't want to push you. I didn't want to make you uncomfortable." "You didn't." He hesitated. "When I caught you on that ladder, I felt something. And I saw something in your eyes, too. But I don't want to hurt you. You've lost enough." She stepped closer. "You're not hurting me." The silence was. She swallowed. "Worse." His breath hitched. "Emily." She lifted her hand, touching the wood dust on his sleeve. "I don't know what this is. I'm still learning how to breathe again. But when you're here, the house feels different. I feel different." Caleb's eyes softened. "You don't have to rush. We can go slow. I'm not going anywhere." Tears filled her eyes, but for the first time in years they weren't from grief. He stepped closer, cupping her cheek gently. "May I?" She nodded. Their kiss was soft, warm, and full of the tenderness she thought she'd lost forever. From that day on, Caleb wasn't just rebuilding her roof. He was rebuilding her trust, her laughter, her life. She helped him paint the new beams, carried planks, and swept sawdust from the porch. He taught her how to use a hammer. She taught him the beauty of old poetry. Their evenings stretched into long conversations under the glow of lantern light. The roof was finished within a month, but Caleb kept coming, sometimes to fix little things around the house, sometimes to bring her flowers he claimed he just happened to find. But mostly he came because he wanted to be there. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Caleb stood beside her on the porch he'd repaired. "Emily," he said softly, taking her hand, "I came here to fix a roof." She smiled. "I know. But somewhere along the way," he continued, brushing a strand of hair from her face, "I think we both rebuilt something we didn't expect." She leaned into him, heart full. "Yes, we did." The breeze carried the scent of pine. The repaired roof stood solid above them. And for the first time since Daniel's passing, Emily felt the comfort of a home, not built from wood or nails, but from second chances. Caleb squeezed her hand. "So," he whispered, ready to rebuild the rest. Together, she nodded, eyes shining with hope. "Together,"